This is our time. The main news at this hour. In the studio, Yulia Gorovaya. Hello. Yesterday, Russia carried out a series of strikes on critical industrial infrastructure in the Sumy region. According to the State Emergency Service, there was destruction as well as a large-scale fire. The aggressor repeatedly attacked the site where rescuers were working. Fortunately, none of them were injured. The fire outbreaks were successfully extinguished. That same night, the Dnipropetrovsk region also came under a massive drone attack. In Dnipro, one of the enterprises was hit. A fire broke out there. Emergency services are working to put it out. An FPV drone also attacked the Nikopol district. According to preliminary information, there were no casualties. Ukraine is creating a layered system to counter Russian drones, such as the Shahed and Geran. This was stated by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky. According to him, air defense is a priority both for the state and for the military. After all, the effectiveness of the anti-Shahed system and the reliability of missile defense determine the security of Ukraine's rear areas.
Our common task is to form more such crews, train more interceptor operators, and provide them with more effective means of destruction and radar systems. During the meeting, I listened to reports on the effectiveness of tasks carried out by UAV interceptor units, the current state and prospects for equipping units with various types of drones, the procedures for further actions to improve the fight against enemy strike and reconnaissance UAVs, existing issues and proposals for their resolution. Oleksandr Syrsky, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, on Telegram.
Ukrainian defenders struck the oil refinery in Ryazan and an oil depot in occupied Luhansk. The strikes were confirmed by Robert Brody, commander of the Unmanned Systems Forces. According to him, the Ryazan oil refinery is one of the 4 largest oil refineries in Russia. Every year, it processes more than 17 million tons of raw materials. Both facilities were struck by fighters from the 14th Regiment of the Unmanned Systems Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The Ukrainian manufacturer of Flamingo missiles presented the technical specifications of 2 new ballistic missiles at the 33rd International Defense Industry Exhibition in Poland. Since 2022, the company has been working on creating effective and economically accessible unmanned technologies for the defense forces of Ukraine. Later, they focused on missiles and air defense systems. Details are in our report.
At the exhibition, the Ukrainian company Firepoint announced the development of the FP7 and FP9 ballistic missiles as well as air defense systems. The FP7 has a range of up to 200 kilometers, while the FP9 can reach up to 855 kilometers. The company expects that their new developments will significantly expand the capabilities of the armed forces of Ukraine.
The FP7 has a maximum speed of 1,800 meters per second and a circular error probable of 14 meters. Its warhead weighs 150 kilograms and its maximum flight duration is 250 seconds. The missile is launched from a ground platform and is designed for rapid engagement of targets at medium ranges. FP9 speed 2,200 meters per second, warhead 800 kilograms and flight altitude up to 70 kilometers. With an accuracy of 20 meters, it is capable of striking targets deep behind enemy lines. From a publication by the outlet Militarny.
It is also known that a Ukrainian company is preparing to launch the production of solid rocket fuel in Denmark. In August 2025, Ukraine unveiled its own development, the FP5 Flamingo cruise missile. The missiles are already in mass production and are being successfully used to strike targets on the territory of the aggressor country. Experts believe that within the Flamingo strike zone there may be targets not only in the central regions of the Federation, but much further east as well. The missile's range is up to 3,000 kilometers, its maximum speed is 950 kilometers per hour, and its wingspan is 6 meters. The declared warhead of the Flamingo is 2.5 times more powerful than that of the American Tomahawk Block Phi cruise missile, and its range is almost twice as great.
As we can see, the strategic choice of our country, our strategy for missile development, and the revival of missile production is now yielding results.
By the end of the year, Ukraine will receive more of these missiles, and by January-February 2026, mass production is expected to begin, President Volodymyr Zelenskyy announced. Ukraine uses domestically produced weapons to carry out long-range strikes on targets within Russian territory, and therefore does not need to coordinate its targets with its partners, the head of state explained.
Today, to be honest, we must say quite frankly,
As of today, to be honest, we are using our domestically produced long-range weapons. And lately, to be honest, we haven't been discussing such matters with the United States. There was a time, as you remember, when there were various signals regarding our retaliatory strikes after Russian attacks on our energy infrastructure.
In August 2025, the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine approved the deployment of 80 new types of weapons and military equipment, 78% of which are domestically produced.
Among the domestically produced weapons and military equipment approved for use last month, the majority are unmanned aerial systems, munitions, vehicles, and ground robotic systems. The new additions also include electronic warfare and reconnaissance equipment, logistics vehicles, engineering tools, equipment for the Air Force, communications devices, and small arms. From a statement on the website of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine,
Kyiv's partners also continue to support the defense sector. The United Kingdom will develop and deliver Nightfall ballistic missiles to Ukraine. This was announced by the country's defense minister, John Healey. The stated range of this missile is over 600 kilometers and it carries about 300 kilograms of explosives. Serial production of Nightfall missiles may begin at the end of next year. Victoria Chistyukina for Freedom TV channel.
Europe needs a new network of modern defense manufacturing. These are the countries that support each other and produce means of protection, not only for themselves, but for all of Europe. This was stated by the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, during his speech at the Ambrosetti Forum. The head of the Ukrainian state is confident that this will make Europe stronger and more resilient. The President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, held a phone conversation with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. The parties discussed key security issues and ways to end the war unleashed by Russia against Ukraine. Zelenskyy emphasized the importance of accelerating work on security mechanisms for Ukraine, as well as the need for maximum coordination with international partners, including the United States of America.
I spoke with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. It was very substantive. Thank you. It is important to work actively for security guarantees for Ukraine. It is important to be as productive as possible together with America. It is important to strengthen our air defense. And we continue to coordinate actions for the sake of real diplomacy. Putin pretends as if he doesn't need peace and doesn't need to negotiate, but thanks to international pressure, Russia may finally become interested in ending the war. I thank everyone who is helping. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, President of Ukraine, on Telegram.
In the near future, US President Donald Trump plans to have a conversation with the Russian dictator Putin. He made this decision after speaking with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and European leaders following the meeting of the Coalition of the Willing. Trump also emphasized that more than 7,000 people have died this week in Russia's war against Ukraine. Most of them are military personnel. According to him, people are dying on a scale the world hasn't seen since World War II.
I resolved 7 wars. The one I thought would be one of the easiest. You know that feeling when you think something is going to be easier? It turns out it's a bit more complicated. But the one that, in my opinion, should have been easier because of my relationships with Putin, Ukraine, and everything else, turned out to be the hardest of all. You know, I resolved 3 wars. One lasted 31 years. A lot of people died. 10 million people. Another lasted 34 years, and yet another 37 years. They went on, and people said they were impossible to stop. But I did it. Well, the task turned out to be harder, but we'll solve it, we'll settle it. Donald Trump, President of the United States, in comments to journalists.
For real negotiations on a peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia, a ceasefire must first be achieved. This was stated by the European Union's permanent representative to the UN, Stavros Lambrinidis. According to him, the EU stands alone in its unwavering support for Ukraine, which is heroically resisting the aggression of the Russian Federation. The politician emphasized that the European Union once again strongly condemns Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war of aggression against Ukraine. And no acquisition of territory as a result of the use of force should be recognized as legitimate.
Crimea, Sevastopol, Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson are Ukraine. The EU firmly rejects and will never recognize the illegal so-called elections organized by Russia in the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, nor their results. The President of the EU believes that a complete and unconditional ceasefire would best create the proper conditions for genuine negotiations. Now more than ever, UN members need to increase pressure on Russia to stop the killings and begin meaningful negotiations. Stavros Lambrinidis, permanent representative of the European Union to the United Nations at the UN General Assembly.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.